So again, the technical difficulties, these weird, bizarre phone numbers keep calling us as we're trying to do this. But anyways, as we were saying,
Yeah, so we're trying the message at the end of this podcast here is to let y'all know that I personally, after this whole bizarre experience, came away with a feeling of safety actually, because I wasn't arrested, I was never fingerprinted or anything like that. The way I consider it is I was detained, and I conducted myself in a peaceful kind of manner, and kept asserting my rights and never signed anything. And as a result, they let me go. They had what other choice did they have? Even if these were comrades and friends, and this was the invisible college just checking out a potential unknown, a threat. Then by conducting myself peacefully and in a law-abiding manner, was able to free myself from the situation.
and that I think that's a lesson that a lot of people can take from this story as well, is that it is very, very, very important that you know your rights and know the laws of the country that you live in. It's super important, guys, and I feel like a lot of that gets cast to the wayside because it is depicted and it is shown, and they do it on the TV, they do it in media, they do it in movies, that you just don't question the cops. The cops are always doing the right thing, or the law is always doing the right thing.
But in the midst of one of these situations, if you have the wherewithal to stop and ask, am I being arrested or am I being detained?
Exactly.
That's important to know. There's a very big difference there.
And and that's one thing too that I've been an advocate probably for the past 15 years, is like, you have to know your rights. You need to know how things are supposed to work, because if not, you can be taken advantage of. And I think one of the biggest things a lot of the general population here think or have the idea of is that just because somebody gets into a position of power, they're absolved of all of the human condition. All of their flaws just magically disappear because they've been elected into this position of power and they could do no wrong. But that is the furthest from the truth, you guys.
Right. And so if somebody asks you the question, are you a threat to yourself or others? And you can honestly answer no, I'm not a threat to myself, I'm not a threat to others, then you are a free man or woman. That's how it goes. That's the rule.
And exactly. And and that's even one thing I want to, touch base on even again, is that, so I'll just give you my consensus on what I believe Joe experienced. Now, before I go into this, I'm going to tell you that I've studied the occult a lot. I actually, as a practicing meditator, I do yoga, I do Taoist yoga, which is Qigong. I understand the rituals of the ceremonial magic, the reverse ceremonial magic, things like this. What I really think occurred is Joe got a peek behind the scenes of the simulatory reality that we all engage in, that we're all a part of every day. A lot of people think it's real. It is not. And in this case in point, I think it just goes to show that a lot of things are staged in this world. A lot of things are made up per se to elicit an emotional response or to cause division and fear amongst the general population. Because, I'll even go like this. If you notice, I'll say with the CVID, because I'm not trying to get my video flagged. As soon as CVID went down, guess what happened? World War III all of a sudden starts. It's like the guys in the PR department are like, look, we cannot have them not be afraid. Okay, so so now that the CVID is done, you need to roll out World War III. Let's get going with it. And this is where we're coming from, or at least my opinion of what I believe is truly happening. And I think a lot of you guys can see that now. Look at the control structures of the world being threatened and being toppled. I know you guys have seen recently in the media about the Balenciaga stuff. The Twitter stuff. Especially, we do think Kanye's just being a showboat.
The
but like
FTX
the
All right.
FTX,
It's all crumbling, man.
it's
Right
all
before our eyes.
it's all crumbling, man. And really, with this, I kind of want to touch base with real quick is so the Pluto return started back at the beginning of this year, and what I know a lot of my spiritual people who listen to this podcast as well as I am. I do believe in astrology. I do believe as above, so below. That the movements in the heavens can exactly correlate with what goes on here, and Pluto signifies the ripping up of old control structures. It signifies the getting rid of what is no longer service to humanity and the service to self, and is going to start to bolster energetically what is good for humanity and service to others. And I think now we can see this happening full throttle, especially it's been ramping up as we get closer to 2023.
Yeah, yeah. So one more note. This group that I encountered, if it was a group, now obviously the whole thing's plausibly deniable, right? It could have just been one kooky guy going to a random ass state facility because he had a break with reality. That's one narrative. But if this was a group that I felt like I was encountering, then their intentions are good, and we should be happy that they're operating in this manner. Because if there's any of us out there that are kind of borderline schizophrenic, likely to go in and shoot up a school or a crowd of people, then this group would be just the type of group that you would want trying men's souls.
Exactly, and I'm totally so, you know, and I'll even touch base, you know, with one of my own little personal experiences that I had as of late. I had this friends group just a couple years ago. Met up with them, all went to the same gym, and just how everything kind of just dissolved, and how two of these key players in this group just like disappeared without a trace. I've talked to their friends. I've talked, I'm like, hey, what happened to them? I don't know. We don't know what happened to them. And so that to me, there's just one short thing, but there's a lot of other things that I've experienced that I do feel the same way, that I do feel that Joe got a peek behind the scenes.
Yeah, we like these people. These are our comrades. These are the people who are like, wow, imagine having to go undercover in that way.
You know, and the